Hey guys, so you ready for today's January 30th, 2024, 3:39 a.m. Central Time. I believe this is the first video of this year I've done. I just wanted to throw one out there for fun. I'm not going to be showing you any screens, so if you just want to listen to this in the background, go for it. Jordan attack and afraid of World War II. All right. So here's a question to all of you, I suppose, because on X, there's senators, representatives, like Graham, who is a war hawk, is like, hit Iran. And then there's Haley, who's like, hit Iran. And they're all getting these comments underneath, saying they're warmongers and blah, 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 and all this shit. And I even said some stupid shit to Haley about something like that anyway, because she does. She loves war, no matter what it is. But beside the point, and people are going off, warmonger, war this, war that. All you want to do is attack people. My question is, what is it that you want us to do? Sit back and do nothing? Because in the Middle East, we have lost 5 military members. We lost 2 SEALs, and we lost 3 soldiers, and up to 25 people were injured during that attack in Jordan. And the Pentagon not being able to answer simple questions is shocking and disturbing. And Austin's responses was a joke. That guy needs to resign. He never should have been put in that place anyway. I've been saying that since day one when he was confirmed. He was ill-equipped. He was not meant to be in that position by any means. No. He is absolutely one of those equity hires. I don't care who thinks differently. It's true. Everything this guy has pulled sucks. And these types of, hitting back the Houthis in Yemen from the Red Sea and stuff, all we're doing is shooting shit down that they're attacking us with, and then we're going and doing, isolated strikes. And these isolated strikes are just taking out buildings and supposedly those types of things, and a few missile launch pads and some other bullshit that they put out. It's but they obviously have the capability of continuing to do it, yes. So it's are you kidding me? And they're fighting their tit for tat type of situation with the Houthis. The Houthis is a nobody. I mean, they're like small children in a large pot of assholes. And they're going after them, and they're not going after any of these other 150 plus attacks that have happened on our bases and areas in the Middle East, but they're focusing on the Houthis. And the Houthis are only located in Yemen, so it's not like they're all over the Middle East doing this stuff. None of this makes sense. And Austin would be the one to bring these plans to Biden and say, hey, this is what I think we should do. And they're afraid of World War II. That is obvious. They've said over and over they don't want to escalate, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'll tell you this first. I have this up on my phone because it bugged me. This was an X post by some idiot named the Calvin Coolidge Project. I don't know anything about this human being. But they wrote breaking, had a picture of breaking. No links, no nothing. Breaking news. As early as tonight, Joe Biden will authorize U.S. military action in the Middle East. And people believed it. And it's this guy's profile says the Calvin Coolidge Project. That's it. Joined July 2021. He's followed by a shitload of people that I follow. He's got 26.2 thousand followers and 6,419 following. But he has no bio. I don't know who he is, whatever. But I posted because I don't give a shit what people think. I said no source. Although history states it was authorized the moment the incident took place. Retaliation measures are in the works the moment an attack happens. My guess, you're putting out BS to make yourselves look like you know something, quote, cool. Sad state of affairs. And that's exactly what people are doing on X. It's so amusing. And you know what? If there's been anything I have ever said on this channel that was questionable in any way, regarding my military experience, regarding Congress, talking about bills, whatever, okay? You guys know when it's an opinion, but all the facts and shit that I show you, if those facts seem inaccurate or my opinion seems inaccurate, I would like to believe that my subscribers, because everyone who's left on this channel is hardcore subscribers that have been with me for years, a decade now practically. So I would hope you guys would look some shit up and verify for yourself whether you post it to me or not and figure out the truth, okay? If there's something so sketchy or outlandish or, vague as Calvin Coolidge Project, I would hope that you take it with a grain of salt. But anyway, James and I were talking earlier today, and I should have, recorded it, but I didn't because we started going on all kinds of topics. But anyway, here's the deal. Biden is not running this country. Everybody knows that, period. And there's a lot of people believe Obama is running this show. And there's been reports that actually Obama has told off Biden due to poll numbers and all kinds of stuff. And I don't know how any of that may be true. I don't know. But regardless, so James believes Obama is a possibility of pulling the strings in the Biden administration. Now, I would say, and I still believe, that is a no. And here's my reasoning. Because in the Situation Room, you have brass, you have DOD, which would be Secretary Austin. You have the National Security Council, which includes, and this is an important name, why I'm bringing it up, Jake Sullivan. You've got Kirby, who's sitting there, and you've got the vice president, supposed to be, and the president in there. They're tossing out, and intelligence at some point, too, is brought in to tell you options as well. So anyway, if Obama's running the show, first of all, during the Obama administration, whom I followed quite closely after 2012, he was good at staying out of foreign affairs. Like, when Russia took Crimea, he did nothing. When Assad did a bunch of shit in Syria, and that was like, big news, he didn't do shit until he drew a red line and then didn't enforce it. And then all of a sudden, Assad supposedly used chemical weapons, and that's when Obama decided to do some strikes. Other than those instances, I don't really remember him doing much of anything. He did drone attacks and stuff like that in Afghanistan. He was criticized for, civilian casualties and shit like that, but nothing was really major popped up, war-wise or anything else. And so he was on an apology tour, and everybody knew that too. But Biden, however, has lit the world on fire because they can roll him, and that's obvious. All these dictators and shit know they can roll the Biden administration down the fucking hill, and the Biden administration still wouldn't know what the fuck to do, even at the bottom of the hill. But beside the point. So here's the deal. If Obama was running the show let's give an example as foreign geopolitical shit. His contacts, Joe Biden has many, many hires from the Obama administration, including who I'm stating, Jake Sullivan. And Jake Sullivan's in a very important place he should not be. And I hate that guy. I met that guy once, actually a few times, I think. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The one time stuck in my head. He's an asshole, and he doesn't like to be told things, like back-talked, I guess, if you will, supposedly. And he just doesn't take shit from people about criticism towards his job. And he needs to. He needs to take the criticism. And so if Obama was dealing with stuff, Jake Sullivan would absolutely be one of those people. Kirby would be one of those people. Austin would be one of those people. He was serving during the Obama administration. So was Kirby. So here's the deal. If Obama talked to Jake Sullivan and Kirby, we'll say, because those idiots and Austin will all be in the Situation Room, and said, no, let's have them do this so we don't escalate any further, because that's what Biden is saying too. And give him this suggestion. The thing is, Biden could easily say no to anything that they put forward. So even if Jake Sullivan and Secretary Austin suggested something, and they highly suggested it and kept pushing him. And Biden's not somebody to push back on either. He's a dick. I did meet him. He's a complete dick and a total fucking sick dude. Like, he stared at my tits the whole time. It was just disgusting. Like, I wanted to fucking kill him just because of that. But he's just a gross guy. I just don't like him. He's sleazy. He's ugh. Anyway, moving on. So he doesn't like to be told stuff too, even in his ancient age. And you can tell that from how he responds to reporters. And they say something he doesn't like, and he gets verbally attacks and loud and tells people they're stupid and shit. And which is different than Trump, because Trump is literally just telling you you're stupid. He's screaming, "You're stupid," and blah, 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 and like all this stuff. So he obviously gets agitated, and it's probably a sign of age. So trying to get Obama's agenda done geopolitically, I don't foresee the case. Now, the rest of the way, Jake Sullivan works a lot with the assholes that go from this administration down to Congress to get legislative issues done. So that's a possibility as far as domestic and stuff. But, like, no, I just don't see Obama being able to play a good, strong role in this administration. I just don't. I don't see him as the puppet master. So anyway, if this administration, and like I said, what are we supposed to do? Not do anything? Because that's what everyone is saying, basically, by saying people are warmongers and this and that. We must respond. Now, how they respond, I think Jordan is spelled wrong. How they respond is a whole other deal. Personally, if I was in the White House and didn't want to go too far and attack Iran directly, well, what they need to do is the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard of Iran, is in other areas in the Middle East, specifically Syria, quite a bit in Syria. They're wandering around a lot. And I'm assuming they have stretched their tentacles out to the other surrounding areas as well. They could easily be in Afghanistan, they could be in Iraq, whatever. And our intelligence would know this. I know that for a fact. They would know this. They would know where these people are and what they're doing. So they need to attack outside of Iran, basically bombard all of the IRGC stations of any kind, of any way, and if they can hit leaders, go for it. And just bomb them all. Try and wipe them off the planet. And send out our Air Force and just carpet bomb them. And get rid of them. And hit enough to get Iran's Ayatollah really pissed off. And then have an address while it's happening. As it's ending, I should say. Not immediately, but like while it's ending and they're finishing off their shit. Have an address in the Oval Office and state, if you try it again, if any Iranian-backed militia or militia that could be considered Iranian-backed, however you want to say it, okay? And then say, if you shoot at us again at any base, at our ships, at tankers, at other ships, shipping containers going through the Red Sea, anything attacks us and we have to shoot it down, we will take it to your house. And end it there and not even say anything else. Because then, obviously, it's going to probably continue, likely, because of the fucking past of this Biden administration and how they don't respond. And when that happens, then you take it to their doorstep and you fuck Iran up. You start fucking up the IRGC at home. You start taking out their tankers. You start taking out their navy and everything else. And then, if you really want to, start targeting their fucking governmental structure, including the Ayatollah. Who cares? Put a fucking thing on him. So it's like, if they don't want to escalate immediately, don't hit Iran. Hit the people Iran care about, and that is their IRGC. Then, hit them at home if they continue with shit. It's pretty simple. So it's like, anyone who's saying, hit Iran, we must hit Iran. Yeah, that's warmongering for sure. Because that's not necessarily the way to approach this. And if Austin was smart, and he's not, or the brass would like shove Austin to like put certain plans out, or the intelligence agency actually had a word in this, they could potentially put that plan on the table. Would Biden take it? Who knows? I have no idea what this guy is going to fucking do. He may attack, from now until a week from now, or he may never attack. And I'm thinking whatever attack he does, if there is one, it will be very surgical and very minor. This administration is deathly afraid of World War II for some reason. Or 3. That should be 3. We already had a World War I. Or 2. 1 and 2. That's World War III, by the way. They're deathly afraid of it. And it's like, you can't think that way as a POTUS. You just can't. You have to think what is in front of you and do it strategically and not back away. Because what's happening around everywhere? Everything's falling apart. And fucking North Korea's back in the scene. China's going to take Taiwan. They're pissed off about who got elected in Taiwan because it wasn't their little puppet guy. So it's like, just wait. I mean, if this motherfucker gets another 4 years, and this is the other thing I'll talk about, Biden being replaced at the ballot box. If they replace Biden with some Democrat and that Democrat gets fucking elected too for the next 4 to 8 years, that's going to be a problem too. It's going to be the same old shit. But here's the deal. Biden being replaced. A lot of people, including a subscriber that I talk to pretty regularly on X, believes that he will be replaced by Michelle Obama. Now, I kind of giggle at that because Michelle Obama, for one, has said, and it will come up in ads left and right, that she's not interested in politics. But that's beside the fact. She is a failed lawyer and a pathetic first lady. I do not believe she will be the nominee if they replace Biden. And I understand that if they did go that route, it's generally because they don't know how to pass up Harris. Because she's the first woman of color. And if they bypass Biden and they bypass the first woman of color, their equity higher, okay, that's going to be a problem. Or is it? Because they've got bigger fish to fry. This administration has a lot of fucking problems. Their poll numbers are shit. I think the Democrats they're going to lose. And if the Democrats lose, let's put it this way, I think they may lose. And if they do lose, they will lose because of low turnout. Democrats of all ages, of all demographics, are not excited to come out for the Democrat Party. And the fact that, and listen to this, Joe Biden won the primary in New Hampshire, right? And even though the DNC removed New Hampshire out of the primary, so that didn't even count, okay? Because their first primary, supposedly, is going to be South Carolina, which is where, and this is strategic, where Biden won his fucking route. When Clyburn, the head of the Black Caucus, I believe is what he is, black guy, Representative Clyburn, went to South Carolina, which is where he's from, and stated and backed Biden and all this bullshit, and all of a sudden Biden became the front runner. Until then, he was not the front runner. South Carolina is where the path changed for Biden. So, of course, they changed it to South Carolina, right? But the New Hampshire primary he did come out on top, right? Because they had a write-in campaign. Write Biden in on your ballot, blah, blah, blah. And he won. Well, here's the deal. Regarding the write-in of New Hampshire, and then this also plays into whether they kick him off the ballot. First of all, the DNC and the campaign and stuff were like, oh, we didn't have anything to do with the New Hampshire win. Like, oh my God, people just wrote him in all of a sudden. Like, it was crazy. No, you assholes, your surrogates were down there. Representatives, senators, all those jackasses were down in New Hampshire, over New Hampshire, and they were doing write-in campaigns with the local Democrat parties and shit. They had signs, write Joe Biden in, and all kinds of shit. So, yes, it wasn't that a bunch of people, like 66,000 people, went out and voted for Joe Biden and wrote him in randomly because he's the best president in the fucking world. No, you had a campaign down there. But besides that, them denying they didn't have a campaign also puts them in a bit of a fuck truck situation. Because if they replace Biden with whomever, okay, people will have to, DNC will have to explain to the world how Biden won the New Hampshire primary when he wasn't even on the ballot. So he was very popular and he won it. Why did you guys replace him? And why did you go through all the primaries with Biden on the ballot, knowing or not knowing for whatever reason that he was going to drop out? You are taking away people's votes. Biden, if he drops out on his own, is taking away people's votes by not following through on his candidacy. That's going to piss off a lot of people who are in these primaries, these citizens and Americans, and they will get a grudge and they will not show up for 2024. That's how the Democrats will lose. So trying to replace Biden with failed Michelle Obama lawyer who has no political experience, has no government experience besides being the first lady, and has no intelligence experience, and has no military experience, anyone who would vote for her is just to vote for another Obama, or just to vote for her because she's, like well-liked within the Democrat Party or whatever. But if anyone in the Democrat Party had a brain, I mean the citizens who call themselves Democrats had a brain, they'd literally just not go out and vote because they wouldn't want to vote for Trump, but they wouldn't go out to vote for her either because she knows nothing. She knows nothing. And it will all be her candidacy and her presidency, if she got in the White House, would all be based around her husband. So a lot of people will vote for her for maybe that reason. Like, ooh, Michelle Obama's going to be in the Oval Office. Well, we're going to have Mr. Obama, the first husband, president of the president type of situation, in there too. He will have all of us behind him. We loved his candidacy from, 2008 to 2012, or, when he left office anyway, later on. And we loved him, and he did so much for us. And he did Obamacare, even though it exploded and blew up, and shit's all fucked up there. And he did this, and he did that. He didn't lie to anybody, right? So that would be the reason they'd vote for Michelle. They wouldn't go out to vote for Michelle herself because she has nothing to show. What would she run on? She would run on Obama, her husband, and what he did. They'd have to. Or they just have constant attack ads and wouldn't run on shit. They'd run on stuff she wants to get done. That Biden, she wouldn't be able to say Biden got this done because they replaced Biden. That would be bad, bringing up Biden's name all the time. They'd say the prior administration accomplished this bullshit and we will build off of it and blah, blah, blah. And we will continue the EV push, even though Ford pulled away from it and GM and all these other wonderful companies have pulled away from EVs because they're sitting on their lots collecting dust and nobody wants them. And this whole EV situation during the winter when everybody's freezing to death and they're sitting at their charging stations and they can't fucking charge the thing because it won't even register it, or they're charging it several times a day just to get down to the goddamn end of the block, is hilarious. It's like, wow. If you own an EV, I'm sorry, it makes me laugh. Like, what? If you own a hybrid, fine. At least you have somewhat of a brain. Because if I had to go that way, I would go for a hybrid. I would never get a strictly electrical vehicle. Beside the point. So she'll say stuff like that, right? Or this has been accomplished. She won't even say this administration or that administration or recently or any of this shit. She may pull up senators' names, representatives' names, blah, blah, blah. They'll keep Biden out of it, right? They'll have to. Or people will be reminded over and over again that they replaced him. And then she'll attack Republicans for everything. And this was funny. And that's why I think Michelle Obama will not be the candidate. I honestly don't think they'll be replacing Biden. I think Biden will only be replaced if he dies legitimately or they off him. Truly believe that. I do believe he will be the candidacy because of all the primaries and stuff. If he was to drop out before the primaries, obviously that would be a route to go, because then you can bring in other people like Newsom and Michelle and whoever else wants to be on the fucking ballot. And that would work. But if he goes through all these primaries and gets to the DNC convention and they replace him at the convention, that will set off fucking a hellstorm in the Democrat Party, and it will fuck people over. When they are going to have shitty turnout anyway, and by having shitty turnout, it's not going to just affect POTUS. It's going to affect down ballot, and it's going to fuck up the Senate and the House and all this shit for those Democrats. That'll be fucking mwah. I'd love it. Anyway, the point is, I don't think Biden will be replaced. But if they do replace him, they will have to figure out a way to make it okay to bypass Harris. And yeah, the Obama theory works in that instance, but like I said, she has no qualifications. She has no history, no nothing. And I don't, it'd be like, I just don't see it. I put a lot of thought into it because it was mentioned between me and my sub, and I don't see it. I don't see it. Could he be replaced? Yeah, he could easily be replaced. But could he die from between now and then? Yeah. Legitimately or off? Yeah, definitely. But this is funny. For any of you who watch business stuff, at Davos, Chase's CEO, Jamie Dimon, was before reporters, and I don't even know who he was being interviewed by. It might have been CBS. I don't think it was Fox. It might have been some other network. And he was asked about, politics and all this shit. And he said that we, because he's a Democrat too, and they, the Democrats, need to stop demonizing voters and stop using the term MAGA and making that out to be a bad thing. We need to come together as a country, and we shouldn't be attacking each other and blah 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 and all this shit. And that's a valid point. When you demonize it, why did Clinton lose? The big day that Clinton lost was when she said deplorables. The country went crazy. Crazy. And that bitch lost. So much for the glass ceiling that she had at her little rally that she didn't even bother to go to, and then people cried at. It was so funny. Anyway, demonizing voters is not a way to go. And so that was, and the thing is banks, especially Chase, okay, Morgan, Chase, and Senior and Junior, when they created the bank, they were highly into politics. Very, very influential into politics, not just by their bank, by meaning their accounts, like paying for shit and donating shit, but literally just had a lot of pull. And that hasn't changed. That has not changed. So Jamie Dimon should technically have a lot of pull. So what happened? Hakeem Jeffries, the House minority leader, if you will call it that, but that's not the term he has. Anyway, the leader of the Democrat Party in the House, he has always started his sentences out with extreme MAGA Republicans. Always. When he goes to the podium, when he talks at fucking press conferences, or if he's at the podium in the House. I mean, this guy is just extreme MAGA Republicans. Even in the fucking committee hearings that he'll show up to occasionally. It's really obnoxious to hear, but it's a broken record. Well, a day after Jamie Dimon said that, Hakeem's Jeffrey had a news conference. He said Republicans. He didn't say MAGA. He didn't say extreme. He just said Republicans. Then Biden and the DNC were very careful, not using the term MAGA and all this shit. So I think what they did is they took what he had to say, and then, like Jamie Dimon, and then they workshopped it and put it in front of people and did their little focus groups to see how well that would go over. And in the focus groups, those people liked MAGA, liked attacking MAGA. So what happened? Joe Biden tweets fucking MAGA bullshit. Hakeem Jeffrey tweets some stupid MAGA Republicans, blah, 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 and all that stupid shit. So obviously they're ignoring Jamie Dimon, and I think that will be bad for them too. Because if there is anyone who is willing to vote for a Democrat that was on the MAGA train, if you will, they're definitely not going to be if they consider to keep downing them and shit for their prior vote for Trump that was so offensive and killed this country, right? So that was interesting to hear, and I was waiting, and I was going back and forth with a few subs saying, like, watch the House, watch the representatives, watch the senators, watch Biden, watch Harris, watch these people, and see how many times they come back with MAGA if they do. And then they did, and it was like, wow, that didn't last long. But the fact that he had a poll for about 48 hours, Jamie Dimon, that was kind of interesting. The last thing that I will talk about that I've since forgotten because I'm doing this off the top of my head. What the hell was it? Oh, Trump. Okay. He's going to be the nominee. There's no way he won't be. I don't foresee that not happening. Haley just doesn't have the support, and she may have support Democrats, and she has Democrat donors and everything else, and she's banking on independents and blah, 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 blah. And there aren't too many states where she's going to win over many Democrats and stuff, so that are allowed to even vote in the GOP primary. But beside the point, Trump will get the nominee. Now they're trying to go after him for possible tax evasion and shit, right? And apparently, and I did search it after my sub told me about it, as far as people saying he won't be able to be the nominee because he will get disqualified for high crimes and misdemeanors. And people are using that term. There is nothing in the Constitution that would prevent him from taking POTUS, okay, if he were elected, and take him off the ballot for anything. Tax evasion, he could murder somebody. He could do all kinds of shit. All these wonderful cases he's got out with felonies and stuff. None of it will prevent a candidacy of Trump. None of it. You can be a felon. You can have misdemeanors. You can have a huge fucking record. There's nothing in the Constitution that says you cannot run for presidency. All there is qualifications, not disqualifications. And high crimes and misdemeanors is an impeachment term for a sitting president. So I don't know why people are using that term. There's only crimes and misdemeanors for the public as a citizen. So I don't know where they're coming up with that terminology. If I'm wrong, let me know. Let me fucking know. But as far as I know, this motherfucker could literally go and kill somebody, be convicted, and get, I don't know, not temporary, but like 5 years of parole instead of jail time for killing somebody. And if he's, and even, oh, you know what? Even if he's in jail, you can still run from jail. Now, how that would work as far as like, if he became president, like he actually became president while he was in jail, I don't know how that would fly. Like, obviously, you'd have to be in the Oval Office, so I don't know if there's a temporary suspension. That's never come up before. So, that would be an interesting situation. But, I mean, regardless, he can have done pretty much anything. The only thing he couldn't do that I can think of is treason. But then I started thinking, even that wouldn't necessarily be a disqualification. Because I said, there are no disqualifications, only qualifications in the Constitution that state for president. So none of this matters. I mean, it matters to him on a personal level. Like I said, if he goes to jail, he can still run. How that would work, like I said, I don't know. But nothing can stop Trump legally at this point. If I'm wrong on that, let me know. I'm really interested because I see nothing. And I keep a Constitution on my fucking desk. And I scanned it. And this whole 14th Amendment bullshit that's happening, SCOTUS will overturn it. But here's the deal. Besides that, let's say SCOTUS doesn't. No one has been able to answer this question. I've not seen anyone answer it just outright. If he's banned in Colorado for now, right? And in Maine because of one person, some jackass Democrat that's fucking seen in photos with other higher profile Democrats. Can people still write Trump's name in on the ballot? Even though he's not on the ballot, he's not able to put his name on it, but can you put his name on it? That's been my question. I don't know how or if or what the answer to that is. But beside the point, the 14th Amendment, if you read it, and you know what? I could probably read it to you, but it's going to be more difficult if I don't have it on screen. I'm not going to look it up. Anyway, the 14th Amendment doesn't specifically state the office of the president. It says, like, elected... Let me see something. Where did it go? It's been sitting on my desk this whole time. Shit's been falling off my desk. I need to fucking clean it. Here it is. Let's look up the 14th Amendment's fucking... verbiage. Okay, this is what it says. 13, 14. Okay. There's 5 sections, okay? Listen. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof as citizens, blah, 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 blah. Let's go to the part that actually matters. Okay. Section 3. Nope, actually 2 actually says it too. Representatives shall be apportioned among the several states according to their respective numbers, counting the whole number of persons in each state, including Indians not taxed, but win the right to vote, blah, 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 blah. Legislator thereof, if denied to any of the male inhabitants of the state, being 21 years of age and citizen of the United States, or in any way abridged except for the participation in a rebellion or other crime, the basis of representation herein shall be reduced to the portion number of blah, blah, blah. Section 3. No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president and vice president, or hold any office, civilian or military, under the United States or under the state, who have previously taken an oath as a member of Congress, or as an officer of the United States, or as a member of any state legislature, or as an executive or judicial officer of any state, to support the Constitution of the United States, shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. But Congress may, by a vote of 2/3 of each house, remove such disability. This says, and this is what people are talking about, or elector of president or vice president. What does elector mean? Elector is the people that go from the states, the electors that go to convention crap. That's an elector. It's not the president or the vice president. It says, or hold any office, civilian or military, under the United States or under any state, blah, 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 previously taken an oath, member of Congress, or as an officer of the United States. The president is not an officer, or as a member of any state legislature, blah, 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 or as an executive or judicial officer of any state. None of this, okay, and there are people that back me up on this, talks about POTUS or even a vice president. It doesn't mention them at all. The retards that are reading this wrong are talking about or elector of president or vice president. And I don't understand how people are mistaking that, but whatever. And the fact that, first of all, Trump has never been and is not under any lawsuit that states he was part of an insurrection. He hasn't been convicted of it. He hasn't even been accused of it other than by these states, right? So that doesn't even apply either. So if he was convicted, it'd be a whole other deal, a whole other argument to use. Still wouldn't apply to him as far as I'm concerned. But it'd be an argument to remove his ass. But he wasn't part. Here's the deal. January 6th was not an insurrection. It was a riot. Okay? And the January 6th protesters, when they're getting sentenced for all this shit, yeah, you know, even though there's footage of cops allowing these people into the Capitol, I think the trespassing situation could be possibly thrown out because of that. But anyone who was in the Capitol and stole things, destroyed things, whatever, blah, 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 yeah, you could, I mean, tough shit, like you did it, like I don't know what to tell you. But this insurrection shit or trying to overthrow the government or prevent a lawful election from going forward of confirmation of a different POTUS, all that shit, none of that shit is true. And everybody knows it. Even if people had showed up on January 6th with weapons up their ass and started shooting everybody that wasn't a patriot that showed up, right? It would still not be an overthrow of the government. Why? Because they didn't stop anything from happening. They didn't overthrow the government. They paused it. So in all those, there's tunnels that are underneath Congress, and there's for a couple reasons. One, for safety, but also to get from one place to another. It's just faster to use those tunnels. Everybody was in those tunnels except for a few people. Representatives and senators were all in those tunnels except for a few people who decided to stay on the floor. Like, I think Brian Mastiff, or I think that's his name, stayed on the floor and was helping barricade the door. Like, that was his decision. This place was empty, and everybody knew that because you saw it. When they did make it to the House floor, there's nobody there. There was a procedure put in place for people to evacuate. Who knows when? 9/11 could have been an instance where they really started to learn how to evacuate, but they were evacuated. If they came in with guns and started shooting everybody, senators and representatives were gone. So they didn't shoot or hold hostage or any of that shit anyone there. And if they did, it would be a whole other deal. But they didn't, and they couldn't because they were gone. So even if these people, only thing that would have done, even if they had arms, would have paused, just like they did, the situation for it to then proceed later. They'd clean up the dead bodies, and you know, National Guard would come in and start offing everybody that had a weapon on them that wasn't a fucking National Guard or a police officer or whatever. Who cares? Then it would have been over, and they'd clean up the Capitol and put people back in place, you know, in the House and the Senate, and who, you know, Jamie Raskin, who has PTSD from it. I want to puke on his fucking face. And it would go forward. It would go forward. It would be extremely difficult, almost impossible in my eyes, because of those tunnels, to ever overthrow anything in Congress or attempt an insurrection at Capitol Hill. It just isn't logical as of 2024 or 2020 or whenever, or 2021 when that happened or whatever. No, you couldn't do it. None of these January 6 people that I'm aware of, correct me if I'm wrong, have even been convicted of an insurrection. They've been convicted of, like, you know, destruction of shit, taking stuff, theft, trespassing, shit like that. None of them have an insurrection charge that I'm aware of. And apparently there's a January 6 rioter that's bringing something, I don't remember what, James mentioned it, to SCOTUS. And if SCOTUS rules in favor of this dude, then basically everyone in January 6 gets off. So I don't know exactly what that is, but it is on their docket. It is on SCOTUS's docket to review. So I'll have to look into that. But like, so you can't call something an insurrection when it wasn't, and then accuse the former president of participating in an insurrection, which it wasn't. And his words don't mean anything. He didn't say to go to the Capitol and cause a riot. He just said go to the Capitol, and whatever else he said. It was minor and it was peaceful. He even said peaceful, I think. And people listened and they, you know, went over there and caused problems, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? I thought it was hilarious. I even posted them on my X account, and I think they're still there. I didn't delete them. I'm like, this is fucking hilarious. And I posted pictures of the shit while it was happening from my TV. And I was laughing, and I'm like, so these safe spaces just got fucking, you know, abused by these people and are no longer safe and blah, blah, blah. And it was hilarious. It was so funny. January 6th, I laughed a lot. And I even laughed at the guy who sat in Pelosi's office with his feet up on the desk. That was funny too. So it's like, this is a joke. This insurrection shit is a joke. Kicking Trump off a ballot is a joke. SCOTUS will overturn it. If they don't, if SCOTUS refuses to take it up or punts it to a lower court or back to the courts that, you know, decided things like Supreme Court of Colorado and shit like that, and Maine's Supreme Court is waiting to hear from the Supreme Court of the United States. They're not even dealing with it. But if they punt it down, it will be a day. It will be the day. I mean, they will be kicking off Biden, of the ballot and anyone else that's part of his administration for anything because of the border, because of an invasion. I mean, it will be a can of worms. And once that can of worms is open, it is Pandora's box. You are not putting the lid back fucking on. People will be doing all kinds of crazy stuff from today till forever. Forever. Because you won't be able to do it. You will not be able to. SCOTUS has to rule on this, and they have to rule unanimously on this. And if they don't rule unanimously, I have a feeling one person, and it will be one person, and that's the, what the hell's her name? Jackson something. She's like got 3 names. She's got a hyphen. The new black chick that's on SCOTUS that Biden put there, she will be the one to say no, if there is a no, you know, a dissent to whatever it is. But they have to come back unanimous. If they don't come back unanimous, this country's going to split even further. And it's just crazy. It's just crazy. But I do not see anything that could pull Trump from becoming president beside the ballot issues and all that shit. I don't think there's anything. I mean, inform me and educate me if I'm wrong. This fucker could have 500 felonies. It does not prevent him. There's only qualifications in the Constitution. There are not disqualifications. So that's my research and my homework to you guys. If Trump got convicted of anything, of any of the bullshit that he's going through, of anything in the future with tax evasion or any other bullshit that comes down his road, or even for conviction of a murder, okay? Because at that point, like, I'd be homicidal if I was fucking Trump. I mean, these people are nuts. But it's like, if he got convicted of anything, could it prevent him from becoming POTUS? If people voted for his ass and he got to POTUS position, could they remove him? I don't think so. This is Are You Ready For It? Take care, guys. Have a great day.